What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 117. Always wild when I say that and we're over 100, but I've said that so many times. Today in the show, I was joined by the artist, Alex Sandra. This was such a great conversation, and I really think that it came at the right time. As you guys know, I've been moving, so I've had to schedule a couple things, but something about this, just the energy of her and I and our vibe, I'm like, this is the right time, and maybe even for her as well. We had such a great conversation the early days of the music of Michael Jackson, being around her in her life, Linkin Park being an inspiration. We also dove into her being an immigrant and everything that comes along with that, and the bullying at times, which again, I've said in here, like I can't imagine. To me, Alexandra just really is that strength. She is that pillar of strength for all of us. And I really appreciate how vulnerable she got. At one moment, you'll hear she even has some tears because of a moment, which I think for me really showed me that she had trust in me. And for that, I appreciate that and having the trust to come on here and share these things. We, of course, dive into Barbie Girl, her latest single, which I think a lot of us can relate to in maybe even different ways than she describes in this. So much on the way for her. And I just love the ability to prop up and promote such badass women, and Alexandra is definitely one of them. And I love it. Like I said, my younger self would have loved her. My current self loves her. And I think you will too. All links below to check her out, including Barbie Girl in the music video. And I would love to send some support her way. It's been a hot minute since I just had a solo woman on here. So I'm really excited to get this out to you. Here's my conversation with the artist, Alex Sandra. So, kind of how I start everything and get the conversation going is everybody gets this question, but it's so cool to hear it from you. What are your first memories of falling in love with music? Was there like a record or a time or a place or just a moment where you were like, this is really special to me, what music is?
Well, very first time I remember I was listening to music, I was like very little.
Hmm.
And I remember my mom had video cassette of Michael Jackson's music videos. And I was keep watching them over and over again because the music videos, Michael Jackson's music videos were so entertaining, and they were also very long, like a storytelling and stuff. So
Hmm.
very first interaction with music, I would say it would be me watching Michael Jackson's music
Oh,
videos.
I love that. That's actually my very first CD I've ever bought was that History that he came out with. And when I tell people that, they're like, really? I'm like, it was just something about that Michael Jackson in his just way about his music that caught me as a young girl. And I remember I had to go to like the Best Buy, which now they don't sell CDs, which is crazy. We don't, that's not a thing like release day, but I had to go get it. And I was like, we need to go get this. We need to get Michael Jackson History. And from there, it just took off. So that's amazing that we similar but different. That's really cool.
Yeah, and also it was different part of the world. I was born and raised in Eastern Europe, in Soviet
Mhm.
Union, basically. I mean, Soviet Union collapsed when I was like four or five, but we didn't had access to many things, and I was very grateful of having that Michael Jackson's pirate music video tape because that was the very first time when I was exposed to Western music.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't even think about that, right? Because me, obviously, I'm in New Jersey and on the East Coast of the United States. And like, I don't even think about that when I should, like the access to certain music or just what would probably hit in other countries and other parts of the world where maybe something that doesn't hit here or didn't resonate with people, it resonates maybe in a different way to people like in where you live. That's interesting for me to kind of sit back and think about that too.
It's very interesting because, for example, I live in America now for
Mhm.
4.5 years, and I'm getting into a lots of new underground artists. And here I have opportunity to explore. And here's the thing: since social media exists and internet exists, right? Like it's accessible for many countries now. You can actually explore and find yourself lots of underground artists to enjoy, right? But back then, all music was coming from TV, right? Like MTV was
Yeah.
heavily curated, so whatever was on MTV, it was very popular, right? So I would say this: I have big cultural gap and knowledge of like niche down music,
Mhm.
especially metal or alternative rock. But I know all of those, and people call it now dad rock, divorced
Yep.
dad rock. I know all of those because it was worldwidely known. So that's why I've learned about them being in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people too would be like, "Oh, that's dad rock," or that's or butt rock is the phrase, I guess. I'm like, what is that? Where did we get that phrase? But I guess people will talk that, like, say your I guess what's in there, your Nickelback, your oh gosh, people are gonna kill. I can't think of them, but I know that what the
Yeah, this
genre
is
and the
what you've
group
been
of men.
accused nowadays by Gen Z, I guess. Like, oh, poser, because like, listen, I learned and I observed as much music I could have access to, and honestly, so every genre or subgenre had a big artist, well known in Eastern Europe or Europe, right?
Mhm.
But like for example. Yes, Nickelback, but I was never a big Nickelback fan
Yeah.
anyways. But like, we knew Disturbed, we knew
Yeah.
Soulfly, we knew like lots of big bands, right? In
Yeah.
different genres and subgenres. It's not like we had access only to like two or three artists. We had lots of stuff, but like for example, lots of locals are not very familiar with European music because there were
Hmm.
lots of amazing German bands, for example. I love those German bands. Have amazing, and I think the Western market kind of missed out on those. But this is geography. You know something what is locally famous because it's nature.
And I think a lot of people even hearing that, like, what are some bands that you're loving, like the Germany-based bands, or a band that you would love to shout out, maybe for anyone listening that maybe doesn't know of any.
Oh, it's so very how I got into alternative music. It was
Yeah.
because of Linkin Park. I was
Mhm.
like in grade 6 or 7. We came with my sister to like my friend's place, and her older brother was playing video games and playing "In the End" by Linkin Park. And this is how I actually got into alternative rock music. And since then, I was obsessed about rock.
Mhm.
But my favorite band back then was German band called Guana Apes.
Okay.
It's a female-fronted alternative rock band, and such badass girl. Oh my gosh, she
Hmm.
changed my life. She just unlocked possibilities for me. I was like, because Eastern Europe is like has a lots of cultural and traditions, right? And especially um, Middle Easternish areas, right?
Hmm.
So they are very religious, and unfortunately, some of them are very misogynistic. So female always have to behave in certain way. But then you see this German band and this badass front singer,
Hmm.
and you're like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. And you're kind of becoming rebel, and that empowers you, like to follow your dreams and just that's amazing, amazing influence.
Yeah, and that's kind of oh, of course, Linkin Park, that's one of those for me as well. But it's what an amazing thing to see. Like even watching you on Instagram and before we were gonna talk, your imagery to me, like I was saying earlier, like it's what I would have loved as a younger girl and seeing that, especially in this male-dominated genre, because you hear even me listening to rock music and loving like the new metal. Like I'm like, that's my thing. It's always been my thing. But when I was younger, it was very just a male, I mean, still is, but it was like, especially the guys to be like, you don't like that. You can't like that. And seeing women up there command that and the badass women, I felt like you're up there as much as like someone else inspired you, seeing your imagery and just seeing that, I was like, this is gonna hopefully inspire some other girls to like get up there and do that because it is just was so awesome to see that. And for me, especially being a woman that loves that. So I think you're gonna be one of the names. I think someone is probably looking at your Instagram in that same way of like, I can do that. I can try.
Thank you so much. I think we really lack, even nowadays, of course, society like Western or European society now and music industry is so much better than it was 20 years ago when it comes to treating women in music industry. I remember when I was starting in my early 20s, how it was back then and how it is now. It is
Mhm.
huge difference, and there is nothing wrong. I actually have lots of colleagues and male colleagues mostly, of course, and I'm having lots of great friendship and relationships and stuff. There is nothing wrong with this. It's just like when female appears, there are so much stereotypes behind that, so it's kind of humiliating that you need to work so hard to prove that you're worth something when that respect comes to someone just because of the gender, right, or
Mhm.
color, or other stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
I can say that we are really lacking female, successful female role models. I'm having really hard times of finding myself, like it's just few. And quickly, we will finish. Didn't want to interrupt you, but there's an
no.
important message here. I had a show recently at the Music City on Women's Festival celebrating women in music industry.
Mhm.
And I am a solo artist, but I hire contractors. Like I hire session musicians to
Mhm.
perform with me. And I love hearing same people over and over again because I love feeling of band and
Mhm.
like team
Yeah.
spirit. So this time I hired my girlies, and we had one male guitar player, and the rest of the band were female. And after the show, one girl came to me. I think she's also an artist, and she said, "Alex, that was so amazing seeing the female guitar player, playing such a cool solo. Made me feel so empowered." And then she said, "I feel so misrepresented. Thank you for
Mhm.
being out there." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you. That's actually huge. That's huge."
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I think little things like that, maybe you didn't think of it at the time, right? And that would make that big of an impact. And I completely understand because there's some guys and a different spectrum in working on this side of things where there are many great males in my corner, whether it's PR or just guys in bands that were willing to even come on a girl hosted show. That's another thing too. You see there's a big stereotype too of like, maybe like you were saying too, you have to try harder just being a woman, whether it's music, whatever aspect you're in the industry. And I know there's so many times where I have to work harder or represent myself a little bit differently. And just because, and that's no shade to any, there's a plenty male podcasters that are fantastic and wonderful, but it's tough even on my end. So I can resonate with that where it's like, man, if only I was a guy, if only I was a guy, but I love being a woman and representing that. And I think, what do you think has been, you touched on it a little bit, but the biggest struggle in current times in the industry being a woman? So if anyone was maybe, or how did you get through any of those struggles? Like if there's someone listening that maybe is starting out and does feel like, hey, I'm misrepresented, or this is a man's club.
In current times,
Yeah.
I think as more as because I'm new in the country, like I moved to
Hmm.
America only in 2020, four and a
Yeah.
half years ago, almost 5 years ago. And it is always difficult to get into the market. But so far, I can say that the biggest challenge is what I've seen is that networking is harder for women. Let me explain. I could be wrong. That's only my subjective point of view. And I hope nobody will get offended. See how apologetic I am? Anyways,
Mhm.
I just wanted to say that I personally having difficulties of networking as a female. Interesting fact: when you do not have like stage presence and like you are not in the market yet,
Mhm.
people are gatekeeping same way, right? But
Right.
then you feel the pushback. Like as soon as you start achieving. Something in
Hmm.
the market, right? By working hard, networking hard, you start intimidating other artists, especially male artists,
Mhm.
and those people are avoiding you and they do everything to do not engage with you so they cannot help you to get into the industry. I know this sounds very weird and I don't have any proofs, but I feel it. I feel when I intimidate men, and
Mhm.
it's very, so here's the thing. I've noticed that people rarely go forwards to me to help me with something. I normally don't even ask because like I'm having hard times of getting any help, and then I'm like I've learned that I just need to do everything myself, which is fine. I'm not expecting anybody help me, but I see that group of friends helping each other, and
Mhm.
then I'm such a loner. You know, this is what I
Yeah.
mean. Network kind of luck, but then you work hard, you achieve certain success, and then everybody wants to work with you, right? But it's
Hmm.
still different. They are expecting you provide for them. They are not opening doors for you, and they're hiding from you from their network. For example, so lots of people are not reposting me or leaving comments or something like that, but they keep watching my stories. They keep engaging. I see everybody in my statistics. I'm not an idiot. So this is
Hmm.
what it is. People are watching, but not really doing anything. But I do have good friends, though. It's just difficult.
It is, and I can relate to that so much, and especially in a much different way, but it is people once if they see you see that little success, but it's funny, like as much as you say like how far a repost goes or a share goes these days on social media for an artist. I mean, it's huge. And you see, I can only imagine because I'll see like my stories will have 87 views or whatever it is, and then I'm like, there's no way you did not see this. Like, this is really cool. I worked really hard on this. And I think that people are always watching and they're almost waiting. I forget which guest I had on, but people will always watch, but they're always waiting, like you said, like to engage a little bit and almost like, oh, is it cool to engage with them? Is it okay to engage with them? And I think it's much harder for the ladies out there, and they should be reposting your stuff. People should be, because I was so happy I came across it. I forget how I did, but immediately I was like,
Well, I
this
think
needs to
we
be
get
out there.
introduced. We get introduced by very amazing photographer. I think she's your friend too.
Oh, Ashley
Yeah.
Pannier. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is so right. Like now I'm
See,
remembering.
here's how it works. Female helps female, male helps male. But because we do not have that many female in music industry, we kind of sit and wait, or we do everything ourselves, and then someone come across, and that person like pushes you into that network. This is how it worked. I got recommended by
Yeah.
some who I came across, and that person is happened to be female.
And yet people don't want to, and again, and it's hard because how apologetic, right? Because we're both like
I
kind of
feel
saying
super
like,
guilty of saying so much, so many
oh,
times female, female. I'm sitting right now and thinking like I might sound so cocky.
oh,
I keep
no.
beating up myself. Like I should be more chill. I
Yeah.
should be this. I should be that. I was like, damn it, shut
Yeah.
up.
Oh, that's how I felt in our latest episode. It was like about safe scenes and keeping a safe scene. And some of the things I said too about like the male dominated industry and what I've seen. And I was just like, when I was editing, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna sound like this. But then I'm like, you know what? But it's reality for us as women, right? And especially on the musician front, I'm sure you face so many things that I'll never know. And I think but I see it. I see it in the way people talk in comments and just the eagerness not to say, hey, this is really cool. You're like, admit that, like, sometimes the ladies, and again, I don't want to apologize for this, so I'm not going to apologize, but sometimes the ladies are doing it better than the men, and that's okay. And we have to lift those women up. And that's why, again, when I saw your stuff and who you are and kind of how you represent, I was like, this needs to be out there, and we need more men to say, like, that's cool. That's awesome. I'm happy to see that instead of like, I don't know if it's cool yet. Like, I don't know if I can yet.
So of course, everything is relies on preferences, and also like marketing matters, right? Like we are
Yeah.
wearing so many hats. Like some people
Mm.
might not like aggressive or female vocals because like they like sweet female singing, but some men have love badass girls. So it's like
Yeah.
all different. I never had sweet voice though. It's always like a lot.
I love it. Like I love I'm always been that aggressive. Like when I was younger, and I remember for me, a band like Deftones or like Korn and that new metal era and Linkin Park even, that grabbed me more than any of like the boy band poppy stuff that I know a lot of people are into. And there's a place for that. I'm not negative, but it was like me I've always loved that aggression. Like that's always been like, that's gonna be your path. Whatever it is, like that's where you're gonna go. And I think that's so cool. I think that's why what you were doing grabbed me versus like you can feel what you're singing and expressing is there and there's emotion in it. And not saying there's not if it's a poppy thing, because poppy, I love, like a Sabrina Carpenter or something like that. But I think it's really important to have your genre and your aggression in there. Even if it's not for everybody. I think it's really important.
I love pop music. And
Mhm.
if we're talking about like a badass vocals, I think Miley Cyrus and Lady Gaga
Yes.
are killing it there. Out there, I mean, Adele, of course. But
Oh,
if we're talking about like, I think Lady Gaga is the queen of pop and she is rocking it.
yes. Oh, and Miley Cyrus. That is someone I am
Yeah,
waiting. I am,
breastfeed
oh,
voice, like
yes.
very nice.
I am waiting for her to do what the genre you're doing. I think Miley would kill it if she went into that direction and just, I think it wasn't Joan Jett. It was something she did. She covered something, I think, for Taylor Hawkins's like tribute from the Foo Fighters and his passing. They did like a tribute to him, and she got up there. I forget what song Miley did. I was like, oh my God, you need to be doing this. I would love to hear you on like a rock anthem record. That would be fantastic. Is
Yes, she has very interesting voice. By the way, so now I'm hearing what you went into earlier, like when
yeah.
you were younger, right? Like when you were high school. So you went into Deftones and you went into Korn, and now I'm not surprised at all because your bio says that it's about mental health and music and healing through music, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, lots of those bands like Korn. I should say you can people will maybe get pissed. I don't like corn.
No, I
I
don't.
respect them. I respect them. I don't like to be honest, the only thing what I do not like,
Yeah.
their specific way of mixing. Like they keep the sound very wet and echoey. This is what I actually really don't like. I love dry sound and dry mix like Limp Bizkit, if we're talking about old school new metal. Limp
Hmm.
Bizkit, like when it's dry and it's right here, like next to
Yeah.
your chord is
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
from the cave, right? Like sounds like a voice from the
Hmm.
cave. So that's the only reason. But Korn has a really serious story behind the
Hmm.
mental health issues. He was severely abused as a child,
Yes.
and this band was talking about lots of trauma. So I totally, I think I see you the way like where you're going with this.
It's wild to think about that, right? Like that's what gravitated. And then I do this. And I love that you brought up Limp Bizkit because I'm like, I am not ashamed. Last summer, I went to go see the play. They were fantastic. I'm like, I know again, then he goes to the misogyny we're talking about, right? And like,
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
listening to
and
Limp Bizkit.
2000s had problems. Nobody refuses that. But come on, like
It's, uh,
it's our childhood. I do agree. Like our parents also traumatized it a lot, but we still kind of tolerated them. Bureau.
Oh, like, yeah, it is. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, listen, do not judge me. When you hear like break stuff or you hear something, you got to get into it. It is just so good. I don't care what you say or what you think. I had the time of my life. It was worth everything, like to go see that. I'm like, they were so good. And I mean, gosh, I could talk that all day of music. I want to talk a little bit about your music and bring that up. I know Barbie Girl's been out for a little bit. And for me, hearing you kind of talk about it, whether it was like a reel or some interviews I looked at, where really it was for you learning and being okay to embrace who you are. And I think it kind of brought me back to thinking before we even hopped on is what are we given when we're little? And maybe I'm reading too into it. We're giving this Barbie doll. Like this is the image. This is the epitome of some like, okay, it's a little girl. This is what you're going to grow up. Here's all these Barbies and all this. And I think in an industry like this or just life, how were you able to embrace who you are and kind of deal with that, especially like you said, everything we're talking about the industry, that has to be so difficult.
I think you understood correctly the message behind the song, and this is a big song for me. And emotionally, I love this song a lot because I was exploring. So I started as an alternative rock artist many
Mhm.
years ago. I'm in music over 20 years already, and in the beginning it was purely alternative and new metal. But
Yeah.
over time, I got burned out. Then I started doing pop, and then I'm coming back to rock music. And to be honest, I'm still developing my artistry, but I'm navigating towards heavier genres. was. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning though. So I know people are hate on artists who are going from one genre to another genre, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I need to do my research. So
Mm-hmm.
Barbie Girl is my favorite song because it is closer to something what I think I can be as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and it also tells a real story. I'm an immigrant. I'm a child of immigrant family.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in America, you guys have your own culture around that. In Eastern Europe, I'm a Georgian who was born and raised in Russia. And to be honest, I had really difficult times. The thing is that I was never accepted, and I was always bullied for my ethnicity, made fun of. I was considered less of a human, and like something like dirty immigrants. And they even had the word for me, like, which is like, at least in America, it's kind of regulated. Like people are not. They do openly call each other names, but like in Eastern Europe, it's really severe. Although I'm not underestimating any problems you guys are
Right.
having here,
Sure.
absolutely. It's just I was severely bullied for my ethnicity, and for a long time I tried to fit in, right? And what I tried to do is I was trying to get rid of my traits and something what you could recognize where I'm from, so I could blend in. I would like bleach my hair. I still bleach my hair, by the way, but it's just I think a habit, I guess. My hair is black. My like skin is a little bit darker than
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain. In America, people don't really see where I'm from, but from
Mm-hmm.
place where I was raised, they
Yeah.
knew exactly where I'm from because of my traits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hiding those traits. I would do makeup differently. I would bleach my hair, and I was trying to be always slim because Slavic girls are blonde, blue eyes, and very slim. And I
Mm-hmm.
was always very curvy. So they were basically, I didn't look like Barbie girl. I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted, but I didn't. So the song idea is that I try to get rid of my roots, but then I just got tired of trying to be someone I'm not. And it's just embracing yourself and just fuck that. I'm not playing this anymore. I'm not trying to fit my personality to the society's expectations. You know what? I'm beautiful the way I am, and I'm gonna become role model for girls like me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. There is no Barbie girl like me. Maybe now it is,
Yeah.
but back then there were no Barbie girl like me. That's fine. Eastern European, Middle Eastern queen here. So uh, trying to say that I'm trying to embrace my roots and traits so next generation and my daughters would feel good about themselves and who they are.
Mm-hmm. And what a gift you're leaving the next generation. And to look at that and say, or even any family of yours that are little girls, to be like, I can be myself, and being myself is my best trait, and that's who I am. And I think a lot of times, and especially like, I know the fellas may hate that, but bringing it back to a woman type thing is sometimes you are taught to suppress a lot of things because of what society wants. And I can imagine being an immigrant and having that on top of that. There's so many pressures already. And then just the way certain people have different opinions or what they want to do. And I'd hate to hear you were so bullied. I mean, I hate to say like, oh, I don't want to say like, oh, I can't believe that, because I can believe that in our current climate. It's awful sometimes the way people can be just so mean. And I hate hearing that. That just like got me when you said that, how bullied. But I think seeing where you're at today, and I don't want to speak for you, but seeing you, the presence you have, especially in a video, or even just your look in that 90-second reel, whatever it is, or video, it's like, wow, like, yes, you were bullied, but like, look at you now, almost taking that back and being your true self is like the best thing you can be.
Thank you. Uh, that's very interesting. When you are growing up, so like for example, in my family, I'm the most Georgian looking person, I
Hmm.
think, in my opinion. My siblings or like other relatives, they are not that. They don't have those strong traits, so
Hmm.
they were never bullied, so they don't understand. Like they've been saying, like, "Oh, Alex, I don't know why you're getting it so hard. I'm fine." I was like, "Because you are pale and I'm not." And
Hmm.
I know sounds weird in being in America. I'm so sorry about that. I'm not trying to fit in into anybody's standard, but as a Middle Eastern Eastern European. I had really hard times for who I am. And like, I grew up thinking I am ugly because my body shape and my nose were constantly made fun of. People would just call me fat all the time because I always had big ass. And they would tell me that, girl, go do rhinoplasty because you're so ugly, nobody will date you. So I grew up thinking that I'm so ugly. And
Let's go
sometimes,
get those guys. No.
yes, because just these ethnical beauty standards were considered not pretty.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I look into the mirror and I'm like, I'm ugly. And this is what I was thinking all the time. And even nowadays, I have this split personality. From one hand, I'm like, look at me, I'm so cool. But then the other, I was like, I'm so ugly. So this is
Oh.
like fight I keep having inside me.
Oh, I could relate to that because much like you, I have, that hourglass shape. So, and for me, for a while when I was younger, I was always bullied for that. But nowadays it's like that's the achievable. Like here, like once the Kardashians, like what everyone
Yeah.
wants to think, once that, it was like that's what you want. And I remember I was the same boat, I mean, but different, where in high school I was ridiculed. I was always like, oh, she's fat or she's this. And I look at old pictures of myself and I'm like, why did I think that up? Like, why did I let other people's opinions affect me? But it's really hard. It's easy to come on even here and say, oh yeah, I don't care what anyone says about me. I don't care. But you feel it like when people use words like that, like no matter what, as much as you want to say you don't, at least on my end, I'm like, yeah, I can say that all I want, but I still like if someone rates me a mean comment or something like on TikTok, oh, she's this, I'll be like, oh, great. I would love to just swipe. I can't. It's tough.
Yeah. How much more you can take, like the glass gets shattered over time, like a little, like what is it called in English? Like a little crack, right? And then
Yeah.
the whole glass shatters. So how much of that you can actually take, right?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, too, like diving into you and for how music has helped you. Obviously, the podcast is music and mental health, and you've already put it into it. But something I saw too on your Instagram, which I watched that interview and I loved that clip that where you were talking about, how interesting it is that maybe we can't talk about things. But artists and musicians, they'll be able to sing about it. And maybe not directly. Maybe you, like, I think you said there was like phrases to it, like little things and then intertwined. And for you, how has music been that mental health outlet for you too? We've already touched on a little bit of like Barbie Girl, like that definitely seemed like you were able to get that off your chest. But how has writing music been an outlet to your mental health?
Oh, it has been really wonderful. It's empowering. Here's the thing: there are really lots of things you are not really allowed to talk about.
Hmm.
Like, let me explain. I'm a survivor of SA and DV, and I was abused as a child in many different ways. And I'm at the good place right now, and I'm still healing. And this healing journey might take forever because
Hmm.
it was really rough time. And music have been such a good outlet. And here's the thing, I'm not in good relationship with my parents, but in my culture, you cannot go against your parents. So like
Hmm.
you can, but publicly, if you will talk bad about your mom and dad, doesn't matter how crazy they were,
Right.
you are at fault. And nobody
Hmm.
will listen to it. They'll, how dare you to talk about like that to people, to your mother and father, right? So basically, my previous song, Problematic, was about my father. And I have song, I'll Never Be the Same. It's about my mom. And both of the times I'm addressing issues of them leaving me handle adult stuff I shouldn't have done when I was like 10 or 12. And now when I'm not safe, to be honest. Like when I in my um relative circle, I'm being silenced. Like I talk and they were like, no, 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 no. Don't put shade on family, dishonor family. I was
Hmm.
like, I went through hell and I don't even have a voice to talk about this,
Hmm.
right? So I wrote a song in order to let myself free and give a voice to a problem, a serious problem. And victim shaming, victim blaming is not okay. And I know that people will come after me for this. People will definitely come after me, and I am preparing for that mentally. So it had been more outlet. I feel better, but also I feel scared.
Yeah, like I'm sure, and I can't imagine because, well, one, thank you for sharing that and feel comfortable in sharing that on here. But I think a lot of us still, like you said, you're healing. I think it's so important because I am a survivor of SA as well, and it's one of those things that people don't understand that healing journey, and whether it's, and I have a very dysfunctional family, so it's one of those things
Yeah.
that's very difficult, and where I didn't have a situation like you where I am able to talk about it. And even if they didn't like me to, I wasn't like, it was just like, okay, like, oh, she's talking about it. Or the worst I would get is, oh, like she's lying or something, nothing to a more just harsher extent. And I can't imagine in your position going through all that and doing that. And I think more of us have to understand the healing journey looks different for everybody. And it can take your whole life to be. There's so many moments in my life where I'm like, all right, I'm okay, I'm here. But then, if there's something traumatic that happened, it could be maybe I hear a song that brings it back up, or a scent, a moment, something brings that memory, and you can be very triggered again. And it's very difficult to heal. And I think just you're so brave for being open. Like you said, like you're scared, but like you're brave enough to talk about some of those things.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry that you haven't had a chance to, let it out. That's super sad. And I feel you on that as a person who grew up in very toxic family too.
Mhm.
And that's super sad. We should not be here. We are enforced to hell, and we're enforced to keep the faith for people who've done bad things,
Mhm.
and we are at fault. That's very sad.
Oh.
I got canceled by my father. And that was my biggest fear, and that happened. And it
Mhm.
was inevitable. Now I know it was inevitable because he's so misogynistic. As soon as I grow up and become woman, that's it. I'm done.
Sure.
Right. So I got canceled by my father. I've been told that I'm not allowed to have my last name, and nobody should know that I am like Alexsandra Marshania. And it hurts my feelings. I had lots of panic attacks because I was afraid whole life. I was so careful, and still, that was not enough. I was still called names, and I was still blamed. And doesn't matter how perfect you are, that's not gonna help you because game is rigged, and you're gonna fall for that. You're set up for the failure in this type of situations,
Mhm.
and that happened. Really broke me apart, like broke my
Yeah,
heart.
sure.
And then I was like, you know what? Fuck them.
Mhm.
Since I'm canceled, what I'm scared of. Whatever,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write 1,000 songs. And I was like, you tell me I'm not allowed to wear my last name. Who the hell are you? One day I
Mhm.
will end up in Wikipedia and our family will be famous by
Mm.
my name, not your. What have you done? So the day when I'll get into my Wikipedia, I will fly to Las Vegas. I'll fucking celebrate that day.
Yeah. And you would deserve that. Like, I love to hear that. And it's because I can't imagine what that's like. I can't imagine. And the toll on your mental health. I mean, even just, it's tough. And I mean, I'm a different position, but I'm no contact with my dad. I had to do it for my own mental health. And, everybody will say, oh, well, that's your dad, that's your father, that's your family. But like, yeah, well, I'm their daughter too. And look at what, like, I'm their daughter or you're, their daughter, and that didn't stop affect that, like it still happened and those moments still, and they're still affecting your mental health. And I applaud you so much for having that where you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I think it takes a lot of strength, like so much strength. And I don't even know if I would have that strength. So I
You do, you
truly
do. You
commend
are
that.
creating community. That's huge. What you are basically doing is what I'm doing. I'm doing through music, you are doing through journalism. What we are doing is we're creating family, we are creating community where we are safe because
Hmm.
we never had that. We never had it. I never had that. So that's why I have chosen family. I have my husband, I have my kids, I have my best friends who we can't, where I'm safe. When they're safe, we can talk about whatever, and nobody gonna shame each other for that.
I never thought of it that way. Even that, and at
You're
this.
creating community. Look, that's big. You are dedicating your social media about mental health and music. That's huge.
Hmm. Yeah, I never thought of that. And I think I had to almost like creating the community. And I now looking back when I started it, I moved here to New Jersey. I didn't know anybody. I had my fiance or my boyfriend at the time, which was like crazy to think I moved across country and did that. But doing that, and I didn't have the community here. I didn't have anyone like me. I was one of those people that was like, oh my gosh, do I have to be who all these girls around here are and people that were in his circle, and that's no dig on any of those girls, but they didn't get it like where I was just different. And I think part of when I created this was almost like what you said, creating that community I didn't have, and I didn't even realize it, and I was doing that and creating that. And then here we are connecting, and this is such a conversation that I'm already like, I am so happy this is coming out next week because this is such an important conversation. I really think that it's one I know I needed, and a lot of people will need and maybe see themselves in you, which is huge.
That's very interesting what you are talking about this because it kind of like brings me back to my memories.
Hmm.
A few times as a child, I was homeless,
Oh.
and I was not a lone child on the street. It was like my siblings and my mother. We were homeless for several days because, like, my mom would escape from the DV and literally would just run to nowhere,
Hmm.
and there were no shelters available and nothing. So we were like spending nights on the street, which is very dangerous for
Yeah.
women. And we were hungry and dirty and we're stinky. And my brother was like 2 years old and one diaper. We run away with one diaper. And yeah, I realized that we have nowhere to go. And sometimes just random person on the street would make our day.
Hmm.
That person sometimes, there will always someone who would give us food or shelter. No, and what I realized that there will always someone who just done so much for us.
Hmm.
And sorry,
No, don't be so.
I just realized that family is good when you have it, but when you do not have a family, you are building your family. And I want to be one of those people who helped me because street is dangerous. I was not planning to cry.
Oh my gosh, you're getting me like it's yeah, I can't imagine what that's like. And I think what a lot of us may take for granted, right? And what we have or don't have. And I think it is so true. Like somebody can make your day and not even think about it. And not even think
For that
twice.
person, it was not too big,
Yeah,
But for me, it was big because I was hungry for 7 days.
it truly teaches me to be more just thankful and grateful and be like, almost also push me to be that person that's there for someone and not even knowing maybe my impact on someone like yourself. I can't imagine just I it's such a cliche thing to say, I can't imagine, but I cannot imagine. But you can hear in your voice how much that meant to you, that one person, and maybe you'll see them again or never see them again, but they made you feel okay, maybe for that minute or that moment. And I just, I think you're just like this image and pillar of strength, and maybe you don't even know it. Like to me, hearing you, I'm just like, wow. And I'm not even saying like, oh, I'm not strong, but like I thought I was strong, but hearing what you've been through, it almost makes me want to say, like, again, like being that little girl looking at somebody, whether it's through a musical lens of like, I can make it through too. If she made it through, I can try and find that light. And I think maybe you're even helping someone and you don't even know it. Like you're making that impact and it's so important.
It is very interesting because we've been told don't talk to strangers,
Yeah.
right? Like strangers are dangerous, which is true. Strangers are dangerous, right? I
Yes.
agree with that. But the thing is that when you are in this situation, abnormal situation where you don't have, like, you shouldn't be, right?
Hmm.
Then you are face to reality when you need to trust someone in order to survive. And then you see the person you never saw, and you're thinking, is this person that unicorn who gonna unconditionally help you? Or is this someone who gonna actually put you through lots of pain?
So something I wanted to touch on before I let you go, and I appreciate all your time and everything you've said. I know there's a record on the way. I think I was reading by the end of this year. What are you most excited about to have this music out there when it's released? What you can talk about, because I don't know what you can or can't talk about.
Yeah, I'm pretty transparent about things
Yeah.
I'm doing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for keeping an eye on my socials. I'm actually very excited. I am releasing a new album. Right now, I'm working on it. We already wrote 3 songs out of 12 I'm planning to do. And that's a big step for me
Mhm.
because it's going to be my first album I actually sat down to write together with my co-writer and producer, and just super excited. I already saw, like, I already heard 3 songs we wrote. Like, we co-wrote those, and I need to track my vocals and stuff for demos. But it is so good. Super excited about that. And well, we'll see, because Christmas, in the end of the year, Christmas
Yeah.
kind of froze of time, like,
Yeah.
you do not release your stuff during Christmas because everybody's so excited about holidays, right?
Hmm.
So we'll see how it goes. I want to do waterfall release, which means I'm going to be dropping single every 6 8 weeks,
Hmm.
and then I'm dropping the whole album. So most likely it will be probably 2026, beginning of 2026, but I'm going to be releasing new songs literally in a few months. So it's going to be just dropping singles over and over again until it builds up the whole album. So that's big for me.
Oh, that's and I'm with you. Yeah, during the holidays, it's crazy. I don't even release stuff then because it's so cuckoo. But because when I heard there was a new record, I was like, this is going to be so exciting, and I can't wait to hear it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so happy that Barbie Girl's been out. We've heard it. We've the music video, everything to go along with it, and hearing you speak about it and speak on it and how music is important to you is just it's been so great. Like I've truly have enjoyed this conversation so much. And I'm going to link everything below for everybody to find you and all of that because I want people to like go check her out. Like she's really, really cool. And I think a lot of, especially us ladies and even the dudes, if you're listening, go check out because I think it's really, really cool. And I truly, truly appreciate all your time with me today.
Thank you so much. I really feel we clicked.
Yeah.
I wish I would have more time on my end. I really would love, honestly, I really would love to go out and have coffee
Oh my
someday with
gosh.
you. If you're
Oh,
visiting California, please let me know. Or if I
oh,
will be in your area, let's go
yeah.
grab coffee, talk about this without any interruption.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course. Like I would, yeah. Oh, I love California. I love it. I loved like the Southern California. A lot of friends were over there. I was like, I almost moved there. And then, I just happened to meet someone that was on the East Coast and we had to do that. But I love California. I'm itching to get back. So that would be so awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, I live in between cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles, so I'm
Yeah.
always back and forth. So whenever you are around, please let me know.
And all right, guys, that was my conversation with Alexandra. Again, it was such a great conversation. Towards the end of it, we wanted to like get coffee with each other. And that's how I always know a conversation kind of goes well and not that I've ever left Zoom this way, but I would hope my guests have fun where maybe we would love to hang out with each other. But I could really tell with Alexandra that I would really love to get to the LA area and California and hang out and get to hang out and just have that girl chat. And I think we really were able to relate to each other in different ways and some ways I couldn't relate to what she was going through. But I absolutely loved her vulnerability. I'm so excited that I was able to get connected with her. Shout out to my friend Ashley. Again, women helping women. It's a real thing and it happens. And I'm so thankful for my friend Ashley for setting this up and getting Alexandra and I together to do this wonderful conversation. As for me, you will hear me next week with a brand new episode. I'm really excited about that one too. I really think this year, for whatever reason, the universe is sending us even more great conversations to share with you. If you are enjoying this thing even just a little bit, remember to share, subscribe, follow the show. We will not bug you with a subscription, but what it is it helps boost us to people that maybe need to find us, that want to find us. And a positive rating or review goes such a long way. It means so much to Justine and I. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.